Hello, are we live? Yassine? I think we are. Hello, Zamir. Oh, Zamir, I can't hear you. You might be muted. Try again. He's still muted. Well, good afternoon, everybody. There's Yassine. Hello.
How you doing, James? You all right?
Good. I'm very well, thank you. How's you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So far we got 56 people watching. Um,
Okay.
it's been a little while where we were able to do a live video. So everyone watching, if you could just kindly post a comment of where you're watching from. Um, just to see who. So we got Liban, mashallah, lovely to see you again, brother. Um, so
Hi,
we got
Laban.
yeah, we got 79. So if you could just kindly don't forget to share this video to other people. Um, Yeah, James, over to you. If you could just carry on, please.
Well, I don't really have much to say. I mean, I think it was just important to check in with everybody, see how we're going. Really keen to hear from people if they have questions about the recent Supreme Court ruling, what happens next, what to expect next. So would be really interested in any questions, to fielding any questions anybody has. I know there's a lot of people out there with questions, wondering what's happening with that. Also, a lot of people are asking about for an update on the cases we've got running in Amsterdam against Uber and Ola. We can run through that. We should also run through the progress we've been making at Heathrow. Maybe Zamir can pick up on that. We've got a real live campaign going out there. And the one other thing I wanted to share, and I've got a link, which maybe we can post. Like I'll put it in the chat. Yassine, maybe you can stick it up for me. We particularly want to hear. We're running very short surveys, very easy, very quick to answer, and we really want to hear from you if you've been deactivated from Uber for any reason. But we're particularly interested in if you've been accused of fraudulent activity, account sharing, facial recognition sharing. Doesn't matter whether you're a courier or a driver. Um, please complete that survey. Yassine, where shall I stick that survey? Shall I put it here?
If you paste it in the group, and I could also paste it in there, just give me a few seconds and I'll have it
I
up.
put it in the chat to you. If you could put it up, that'd be great.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, the only other thing is that, real shout out to couriers. We really, we've had well, first of all, we've had, I can't believe how many people have joined our union in the last 2 weeks. It's absolutely exploded beyond our sort of wildest dreams. And it's really magnificent for all these years, to see people now uniting with ADCU, with uniting also with the GMB, our sister union, as well. A lot of drivers going there, but it's really magnificent to see drivers uniting now with unions that can really help them, like the GMB, like ADCU. So it was amazing to see such a spike. I mean, of all the years we've been working on this, to see that many people join up now and really get serious about union power is just been it's moving. I have to say that it brings a tear to my eye. It really does. I don't say that lightly. To see how many people have joined up with ADCU, it's absolutely shocking. It's transformed our organization. I mean, we're already the biggest trade union organization for private hire drivers and couriers in the UK, but this has just really accelerated us. So, I mean, and this is going to make all the difference. This is going to make all the difference going forward when we have that serious union power, because that's how in the end how we're going to fix this problem. Is we have to build a strong voice everywhere in the UK, but in the in London, of course, the biggest market and the biggest more licensing done in London. I think twice as much licensing is done in London than the rest of the country combined. So London is really important, but also this reverberates out throughout the country. So many joining. But over to you guys, Amir. Maybe you want to tell us what's going on at the airport. Zamir, for those who haven't met Zamir, but probably getting to know him by now, he's our elected Heathrow, London Airport rep. So he's managing all things union out there. So any issues at all, I mean, this is a good place to go. But if you have any issues at all, Zamir's the man. Zamir.
James, can you hear me, everyone? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah, perfectly.
A few little issues, but compared before we started, we have done a bit of a progress. There's hot water now. There is soap. They put a new hand towel. So that's has stepped up a little bit.
You're cutting in and out a little bit, Zamir. I don't know if the microphone is a little unstable.
Will you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Perfect. Let's start again. Well, we have a bit of a progress in Heathrow, to be honest. Hot water is there at all times now. Soap, they provided hand towels. The cleaning has started to get a bit better. It's not as it should be. We still have the praying facilities and the food facilities, which they're beyond belief. But that's a work in progress. We keep pushing forward, and we'll get there.
Yasin, did you have any updates about that too? Yasin seems a little frozen. Oh no, he's not frozen. He's still there. Okay, well that's fantastic. I mean, that's, you know, it hasn't been easy. We've tried to work with Heathrow for some time in the background. Ultimately, we had to go public with the campaign. That's where we had the BBC out there, and we had a TV crew out there, and we had a big online article. I know Heathrow Airport didn't like it very much, but you know they should think about it before. You know, we're a very reasonable union. We're very pragmatic, and we try to work with people. But you know they weren't listening, so we had to go public. But we're not done with it yet, and we'll be taking more action. I'm not sure we can really talk much more about the action we'll be taking going forward, but there'll be some more action. Yasin, did you want to say any more about Heathrow?
We're working at the moment in the background. I don't want to say too much at this stage. We're looking at a few things that we're doing. There has been some changes, which Zamir would mentioned earlier on about putting in hot water. But I think I just want to, like, we got a lot of people watching. So the last 2 weeks has been really busy with us with the Uber case. And, you know, like Jay mentioned, we suddenly saw a surge of membership. Like everyone started joining the union, and we had messages coming in from all directions. So, you know, it's just difficult trying to cope, but we managed to now set up a system and we're back on our feet and running forward. So one of the things that we're going to be focusing on is the Heathrow Airport. Yeah, and just like what else was it? A few people asked questions. So a lot of people are asking questions about this WhatsApp group. So, you know, we're gonna add people to this group if you could send a message to me. But other than that, yeah, we're doing what we can. We're doing everything, and I think it's just like we're on a peak. Like we're really flying right now. I wish we had more time to do what we're doing. But regardless of what happens, we're still there. So, you know, like you know, we're trying to push the government in different cities for this corona virus, like the grant for the pandemic. And one of the things that we recently saw is a lot of politicians have recently started engaging with us. And I'm talking about MPs and councillors in different cities.
Yeah.
So it's important for us guys as members is to use this, you know, use this momentum to actually push these politicians. So it's not about the guys in London. So we got people here watching from Leicester, we got people here from Manchester, Birmingham. You know, like we need to work as a team. You can't just expect myself or James or Zamir to do. We all have to work together because this is our movement. It's not about myself or James or individual. It's about us working together as collective and how we could achieve something. So by us winning Uber, that was our union. You know, we done it. It's ADCU that actually, you know, being at the forefront. And as Jay mentioned, we have another case in Amsterdam. Yeah, and there's a link up there already. So if you're watching, if you just come on now, go onto this link and register, like fill it all in. So like there's a lot of stuff that we're still doing in the background, but people tend to join afterwards, and it's important that we're there. So it's like the Heathrow campaign. We've been fighting that for the last 6 7 months, 8 months, but people only noticed that recently because of the BBC article. So like Zamir is the elected rep there. He's always at Heathrow Airport. He has been there. And we get a lot of other unions and people that come in and pretend to be there. But they're only there, like they come for a few days and then this disappear. And even like it's unfortunate that before we went to the Supreme Court, we had a driver that got murdered. So so we had a driver that got murdered just like on Wednesday. Not like this is the second week. So towards the end of this live Facebook live, we'll have a 1 minute silence to remember Gabriel. But we had the vigil outside Bolt office last week. As a union, we also donated £500. I have spoken to reached out to the family, so we're in contact and we're trying to do. But don't forget, this is not an isolated thing. This is something that we started years ago. My campaign started around drivers getting assaulted. I know a few drivers that passed away in this job, so this is not just a one-off thing that we're hyped up today and will disappear. We're here, and I'm sure James could talk about how his case started in terms of assault. So we've got a lot of people, and it's just shocking to see like other people setting up fake accounts, pretending to be drivers to mislead drivers. And that is shocking, and it needs to be condemned in such a way that you should, like, I just don't know. I mean, my mission is to help drivers, and that's what I put myself forward. And I'm sure it's the same. And we fight collective, together of what we're looking out for the driver's interests. And it's just shameful to see all these other people trying to leech onto something, but it's just temporary hype. And I would support these guys if they actually had the best interests for the drivers, but unfortunately they don't. But over to you, James, man.
No, I mean, I absolutely. That was a very, very sad case. We were all out at Bolt offices last week to remember Gabriel, and indeed, our committee voted to make a donation. I mean, the thing, back to Heathrow for a second. I mean, this is a very important issue of respect, basic respect for drivers. The situation we have in Heathrow is that 100 yards down the road, the Black Cab Park, they pay £3 flat fee. We pay £1 an hour. So we probably end up paying more than the £3, and then they go and pick up for free on the ramp, whereas we go down to the car park and have to pay again down there. But they have a purpose-built block. They have hot and cold food, a lounge, big screen television, lovely toilets. Honestly, I've seen poorer toilets in the Hilton and Park Lane, to be honest with you, than what I see the Heathrow Airport are able to provide for black cab drivers out of Heathrow. And that's honestly, I've seen shower and toilet facilities in worse condition at the Hilton and Park Lane. And that's how good it is there. Hot and cold food. They have conferencing facilities for their trade unions. I mean, really, honestly, if I went down there, I wouldn't, I'd hardly pick up a fare at all. I mean, the facilities are so nice. And then you go up 100 yards up the road to a private hire place, and I mean, honestly, it's Guantanamo Bay is what it is. It's ridiculous. So we can't, like, for just basic respect, we can't put up with that. So what has been interesting is that the prayer facility. So Tell Mama has gotten on to that, and some other activist organizations that are, just a little bit offended about how things are there. I'm not Muslim myself, as you might guess, but I find it offensive. It's a bit, we're all in the trade union, we all have solidarity, and we have to treat people with some basic respect. So, I mean, which brings me to another point, which is really important about respect. So, if you get assaulted, you must report it to the police on 112 or 999 if it's very serious assault, 112 if it's after the fact. But also, if you suffer any kind of hate crime, any kind of, abuse, somebody calls you a this or a that, or has been in any way, derogatory, about your religion or your national identity or the color of your skin, then please report that on 112. Because it's really important for the police to rack up those statistics, because they don't do enough to protect the private hire trade. And I'm afraid this is what brings me back to Gabrielle again. This is the issue we've been pushing the police on, that they haven't done enough, and neither have TfL. TfL want your shirt size. They gathered in 2015. They took the decision that they'd have to have the national insurance number of every private hire driver, and the reason being was so that they could aid DWP and HMRC in any investigations they might want to do. They didn't have a reason to collect that information, except to, throw you under the bus if it came to it. But will they collect information on assaults? No, we've asked them to. They're not interested. This is the reason why anything like that ever happens. Just, it only takes a minute. 112, make the complaint to the police. Let's rack up the statistics. Let's give them the picture of how it really is. Yassine, Zamir.
Yassine, to you.
Zamir, over to you, man.
Yeah, that's no problem. As I said, I just can't wait to get everything resolved with.
Hey, Zamir, what do you think about the CCTV?
CCTV, well, it's pointless.
Coming up.
Correct. As I said before, I always stand by that. If it's not voice recorded inside, we all know all this is malicious. Everything is to get their 5-10 quid back.
Yeah.
Fact. I had one yesterday when they just deducted my fare. I'm like, hold on a minute, what's going on here? Oh, this fare didn't happen. I said, well, hold on a minute. I've got cameras in the car. I can prove it happened and it was the right person. Because I was talking to him on the phone and the camera's recording in and out. Well, as soon as I said that, Uber just paid up.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, hold on a minute. So TfL wants to impose that. If they're not recording the voice, still the customer is going to go same way anyway. It's not going to make no difference whatsoever. The only thing the difference is going to make us poorer, because we're going to pay £700-800 plus a subscription fee every month.
Well, we've got Jamie Haywood. We got Jamie Haywood from Uber. He's the boss for Uber UK and North and Eastern Europe. And we've got him on the record at the Magistrates Court in September when Uber was appealing for their license. And he admits in that witness statement that people do make complaints in order to try and get a refund, and that this is a problem, and that they will always err on the side of the customer. So if they have any doubt, they're gonna side with the customer, not with you, because they will. No, they didn't. As soon as I told them, listen, it's recorded. I put the camera recorded in and out. Well, mate, they just backed down straight away. They were like, exactly. Oh, okay. Exactly. Well, what would they have done if you didn't have it, though? Would they have believed you? They've just taken my money away. Simple as. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not right. It's not right. Because they did take it away without even consulting me. And then I had to phone them up and say, hold on a minute. No, but the customer said it never happened. I said, well, the customer was in my vehicle. I took him from point A to point B. I've got evidence if you wanted to. So TfL are going to open a consultation on this. The way I read it is not a detailed consultation. It's a kind of a, in the old days of Northern Ireland, where I grew up in Ireland when the Northern Ireland troubles, they'd have talks about talks. So they'd have talks to decide whether they were going to have talks or not. And so the CCTV is kind of the same thing. It's not a full consultation. It's a consultation about maybe having a consultation in future. So it's not very detailed, but we have to see. Well, Carl makes a point there. CCTV is just playing into their hands. That's what they want. Yeah, I mean, but part of me agrees with you, Carl, because the thing is, between the Met Police and TfL, they've ghettoized our industry. And they haven't backed up drivers. They've made no attempt to work with the police. So go down to Bristol or go to New York City, and the police are backing up drivers. They give drivers stickers, to warn passengers. If you lay a hand on me, or you could get jail time. And the police are actively backing up drivers, and so is the licensing authority in New York and down in Bristol. But TfL, no, they won't do anything. So drivers are getting a kicking. and TfL and the police, and then when you do report to the police, oh, they're too busy, and you know, they don't want to bother going out getting CCTV even if it's available, and you know, and then they won't pursue the case. They're very pedestrian about it. So they've allowing that over years, and by overlooking that, and then by also demonizing private hire drivers. If you look at TfL's feed and the Metropolitan Police's feed over the past few years, they've demonized private hire drivers, and so they've ghettoized our industry and permitted, you know, a level of assault and abuse of drivers to carry on. But yeah, we might as well have the CCTV now, because, you know, I mean, it mightn't have been necessary if you cooperated with the driver community, policed the industry properly. And CCTV alone is shown to change behavior of badly behaved passengers, but in a way, it's not necessarily a solution. It's evidence. But I still think, though, the truth is, I sat down with a guy called Jas Sandhu, and so did Yassine, and he's the head of the Metropolitan Police Cab Enforcement Unit in London. Still is. And I asked him flat out, you know, when it comes down to it, who would you believe? He said, not the driver. I wouldn't. He said, I feel sorry for you guys. It's not easy, but no, we wouldn't believe you.
Yeah, no, it's important, because I think, like, when we look at, like, every day we get cases come in one after another, and when you look at all these allegations, a lot of them are, and the reason why we see drivers getting away with them is because they have some kind of evidence, which is the cameras. And God forbid, let's say if you get accused of something serious, yeah, if you don't have CCTV cameras in your car, how do you defend yourself? Yeah, and what we're seeing is mainly Bolt and Uber. And a lot of time, like, who was it? I think it's David that posted a comment about some incident that he had. And it's important to keep this, because at some stage, what Bolt or Uber does is they report you to TfL, and then TfL is going to come after you for your license. And by the time you get that letter, when they're trying to revoke your licenses, you haven't got that evidence no more. Now, for us guys as an organization, is how do we maintain you know, like, where's the balance? Like, how long do we hold this data for? Who's responsible for holding this data? And at the same time, I don't like the system with TfL where they suddenly write to you for allegation about 4 years ago or 3 years ago. Like, are you going to store this data for 3 years or 4 years? You know, so it's like Dave, typical. He got the evidence there, and he might get rid of that tomorrow. What's going to happen? Is he going to you know, like, how long does he need to keep that for? You know, so there's a lot of question mark, but at the same time, I would say that it's important to have this. But anyways, Zamir needs to go. Zamir, do you want to say anything before you go?
I'll leave you in peace. Let's keep plowing forward.
All right, mate. Thanks, Samir.
Cheers.
Well, next time you're at Heathrow, go say hello to Samir.
Definitely. Come along, guys.
So, Yassine, I wonder if we should turn to see if there's any questions on the Uber case where we're at.
I will do it. I got Bakhtiyar, brother. Listen, I got your email, and I'm gonna call you later on today. And you have my number. If you could just call me like later on today in about an hour's time, and I'll sit down and talk to you about your case. You know, you just sent the email to me a little while ago, but I would come back to you. But in the meantime, I think it's just mainly about, if you could just quickly touch on the Uber case. I think that's the hot topic that everyone wants to talk about, James.
Yeah, okay. Well, so where are we at? We had the ruling on the 19th of December. The distinguishing features of that ruling was that it was a unanimous ruling. It was a 6-0 verdict, judgment. And sometimes there's a dissenting opinion. So it's a kind of like, even though the case is won, there'll be an alternative view. Not this time. So nobody on that bench could really get alongside anything that Uber was doing. The thing is, they said we're under Uber's control, and they gave the 5 reasons why, which is a distilled version of the 13 reasons that were given when we initially won in 2016. Now Uber's saying, "Oh, that's all changed now, and it's it's old news," but it really isn't. So they really don't have a leg to stand on there. But I mean, that's partly about distracting the driver community away from making any kind of claims. The government has been kind of standoffish. We want them to step in and enforce the law. So that's where we're at. So we've got some stuff going on in the background. We've written to the mayor about it. We've got some other things going on that we'll talk about in due course. But I think you'll understand that we can't. I have to say, one of Yassine's biggest fans on the Facebook live feeds is the Uber team, the Uber legal team. They hang on every word he says. So hello Uber, but they're almost certainly watching. They're second only to the Metropolitan Police, who like to watch as well, and also Transport for London. They consume our videos, we know, probably more than even the driver community. Yeah. So for those reasons, we won't go into detail what our next steps are. So, but the situation is the law is the law. Uber is trying to say, no, that was 2016 and that was then, this is now. That won't wash. That can't wash. But they're only saying that because they want drivers to just go, la la la, nothing to see here, move along. And that's not, that's just not a tenable position. I really think it's a holding position because they're not really sure what to do. They've launched that survey, so you can see that we were in the Guardian about that this week. A survey is just deeply misleading, to ask you questions. Well, would you like flexibility or would you like something else? Would you like benefits or would you like, and it's like, you can have both, you can have flexibility and you can have fairness. So that survey, take it with a grain of salt. If you run out of toilet paper at your house, I would recommend printing it out and you could use it for that if you want to. If you want to fill it in and send it back to Uber, you can do that. But the one thing you don't want to do is take that survey very, very seriously. So that's where we're at with the survey. There was a debate in Parliament. So Andy MacDonald, we worked alongside with him. Andy MacDonald is the shadow minister for employment in Labour under Keir Starmer. So he worked closely with us before a debate he had in Parliament. He called for an emergency debate in Parliament on this Uber case, and he's pushing the government really hard on it. So he was discussing our win, the GMB and ADCU win in Parliament last week. So that was a really great honour for us to be remembered inside Parliament. But I hope they'll just now go forward and then see where we go. So what's the outlook? The outlook is, I think people are kind of standing off for a little bit, seeing who's going to buckle first, who's going to break. The government's in a difficult position. They've been put under a lot of pressure by this ruling. Uber's under a tremendous amount of pressure. I would say to you, make a claim. We had long debates over the last weeks. I won't go into it. There are different claim companies out there, some offering very high rates of commission, but then they're also very aggressive and very competent law firms. So, you can go with them and you may get a bigger claim, but also a bigger commission, but also very aggressive in the way that they've done it. We can talk about that. So Kellernecker are doing the High Court and the Employment Tribunal. That's an expensive way of doing it. It was a very aggressive way of doing it. Other lesser firms, like the likes of Lee Day and so on, I'm not really sure about their strategy so much, but the still commission is still pretty high. Like if you're paying 20% of Lee Day, I don't know. I think you're better off going to it. There's some cheaper options out there at 17.5%. So I think you need to think through. Do I want to go for low commission and a firm that's just going to file the claim? and wait and see, or do I pay a higher commission, but it's more aggressive claim? But you probably don't want to be in that middle ground too much. I don't know.
No, no,
Yes, amazing.
yeah, no, I agree. It's like kellernecker, for example. I know a lot of people ain't happy with it, and like I said, it's your choice as an individual to go
Yeah.
wherever you want. Don't do it because we're telling you. But there's certain benefits. For example, like a lot of drivers been working with Uber since 2012, 2013. So some firm would only claim back a certain years, and some of them are only going into the tribunal, where we have a firm that's actually going into high court. Yeah. So therefore, your claim is a lot more better and a lot more higher, and therefore you're paying a higher percentage. But overall, there's more coming into your pocket. So I can't turn around and tell you the choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing though, I see a few other questions here. If you already signed the agreement, then you can't come out of it. Unfortunately, you're stuck into it. And this is why, if you're watching this, just don't rush into something. Just bear with us. Don't rush into, just going with the cheapest firm. Yeah. But, it's your choice. But the point is, you need, like, Uber needs a big, massive firm that specializes in this. That's the only thing that Uber's going to listen to, and that's the only language they understand. Because if you look at what they've done in California, they literally go out there and lobby politicians and more or less brought out a law, and that's where, like, when you look at firms like kellernecker, they actually got the resources and they specialize in, going for these kind of class action, So as an individual, it's your choice. But one of the key questions, James, a lot of people say this, and it's not just on this chat, we get it a lot everywhere, is clean air zone. I mean, from my understanding, obviously it has nothing to do with our employment contract. But do you want to just quickly touch on it? Because everyone keeps saying they're thinking it's part of the employment agreement, yeah? And whether Uber's going to pay them the clean air fees in terms of the employment contract and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of misconception out there. If you just want to basically touch on that, please, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think the clean air scheme is completely different. The Supreme Court didn't deal with that topic at all. It's a problem. It's a problem because that money is being tied up in this way. But let's see what the tribunal says about it. But I think that's a separate issue, and it's potentially a separate challenge. So we got to do one thing at a time with them. But I think it's important to make Uber bleed, because they're not. They want to. What Uber would love to do. This is a wildfire. Imagine a wildfire, right? And Uber is running around trying to stamp out the wildfire. That's what they're doing right now. By trying to say, don't make claims, whatever, just, listen to us, fill out the survey, here's some electronic badges. Look, you've got another badge for great chat, or well-stocked car, I mean, if you can feed the kids with these electronic badges, that's brilliant. But, Uber wants to gloss this over. They won't be able to. So that's good to know. Paul Sweeney was saying he got the Clean Air Fund paid out when he went to a dealership. He got him to pay it out. So that's good to know. Okay, so I think that's about it. Yassine, is it anything else you want to say?
I think we covered everything more or less. Is there any other question? Okay, one thing that a lot of people keep asking, like, how did this ruling affect all or other local bases? Yeah, does that mean that by default that they would do what Uber would do, is change the model, or
what is it going to affect Ola?
Yeah, Ola, for example. Yeah, Ola.
Yeah. I mean, it inevitably is, because the thing what this judge said, right, was he said a very simple thing, very profound. He said the purpose of the legislation is to protect people, right? So the purpose of the law is to protect people. And by saying that, what he was saying is, well, what was the purpose of these contracts? What was the purpose of those? The purpose of those contracts was to make sure you didn't get the protection. They had no real basis in fact at all, or no real basis in reality. And so by saying that, he's sending a signal to the entire gig economy that, that these contracts, whether you're with Ola or Uber or Bolt, they're not going to stand up. They're not going to hold water anymore, because what he's saying is that those contracts were written in such a way that their only objective, their only purpose, was to try and disqualify you from having protections under the law that you're entitled to, the protection of minimum wage and holiday pay. In order to cheat you out of that, they say, "Oh, look, you're your own boss here," but you're not really. And so, very profound statement. The purpose of the law is this. The purpose of these contracts was to cheat you out of that. It will require either Ola voluntarily coming out with their hands up themselves and Bolt, or it'll require us going in with some claims and litigation. But they have no prospects after the Supreme Court ruling. This house of cards has to fold, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's it for me. I think we covered everything more or less.
If people could please click that link again, if we could put that in there again. It's a link. It's a survey we're running on drivers that have been deactivated. Particularly want to hear from you if you've been deactivated, accused of fraudulent activity, facial recognition failure, or anything else like that. Please fill out that survey. We need to hear from you as quickly as possible. That's all I have.
So that's it. Yeah, James, just for people that are coming on now, because we got over 100 people, so like we got new audience, yeah. You want to just quickly touch on like what is that link for? I know you said it's about the survey, but what are people like, especially drivers that like to ask you so many questions before they click on that link and give their consent? Like why are they doing it? What's the purpose behind it?
It's just a simple survey, Yassine. We want to get our arms around the size of this problem and why people have been deactivated, especially if it's relating to anything that suggests fraudulent activity or anything like that. That's what we want to hear. So it's a really simple survey. We just want to get a feel for what that situation is like now. We're seeing it a lot in the casework. That's the point. We're seeing it a lot in casework, but we just wanted to reach out more broadly than our reach to see more broadly, to hear from more people. If it's happened to you, please just fill out the survey so we can get a sense of that, and then we can see from that then what kind of trend or pattern there is with that, and we'll take action on that basis. I can't say much more about it at the moment for obvious reasons, but it'd be really good if you could complete that survey.
Okay, James. Before we end it, I think we're ready to end. Could we have a 1 minute silence? A 1 minute silence. So if I just start the timer, is everyone okay with it? So that's it. So we'll end the meeting straight after that. So the live session. And don't forget, if you haven't joined, you're welcome to join the union. There's a link on our website, and don't forget to fill in that survey. Yeah. So we're just gonna start the countdown in a minute. Yeah. James, could you see the timer on top of the video on the left hand side?
Let's see. I can see it.
Oh, I'll start it. Let's start it now from in 2 seconds, in 5 seconds. Yeah. Okay. Let's start it now. Oh, that's it, James. The minute done. So I'm just gonna end this session. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to share and like this video. Thank you, everyone.
And don't forget to fill out that survey, please.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.